Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to talk to you today about the Tuskegee Airmen. Okay, the Tuskegee Airmen were, as many people know, African-American fighter pilots in World War II. Okay, they composed the 332nd Fighter Group, and that fighter group belonged to the 15th Air Force. Okay, the 332nd Fighter Group consisted of the 99th Pursuit Squadron, the 100th Pursuit Squadron, the 301st Pursuit Squadron, and the 302nd Pursuit Squadron. Okay? And yes, the Tuskegee Airmen, obviously, they did their training in Tuskegee, Alabama. And that is honestly where the first racism came about. And it wasn't as much in the town at first as it was from the commanding colonel. The commanding colonel at first was a guy named Frederick von Kimball. He was an American of German ancestry, but he was ardently racist, and he didn't allow the airmen much freedom, much mobility. He allowed the white soldiers a lot more freedom and mobility, wouldn't let African Americans use most of the facilities on base. But it didn't work out. The Army took care of it, and they replaced Frederick von Kimball with a guy named Noel F. Parrish. And the Tuskegee Airmen really respected this colonel. This colonel hired black military police, so the town of Tuskegee, the residents of the town, could not come and terrorize or threaten the Tuskegee Airmen. And it worked. And Noel F. Parrish was from Cullman, Alabama. Now, Cullman, Alabama, they have very little, if any, African Americans in that specific county. But Noel F. Parrish was a devout Christian, and his father was a preacher. And his father had always taught him to treat others the way he would want to be treated. So Noel F. Parrish did not tolerate any racism that happened on the base in Tuskegee, which is one reason the pilots were able to successfully complete their training program. And it was harder for the black fighter pilots to get into the Tuskegee training program, but when they got trained, the training was the same as the white pilots. It's the Caucasian pilots. And they had an instructor who was named Mother Long. He was from Louisiana. And in the book Red Tails, which the author interviewed several Tuskegee Airmen, they talked about Mother Long and Noel F. Parrish. And this is their quotes, not mine. He said, the Tuskegee Airmen said yes. They respected them. They loved them. He said, they said yes. They were redneck crackers, but they were fair. So that happened. Okay? Okay. All right. The Tuskegee Airmen. The first air-to-air kill happened in 1943. It was by Charles Hall, call sign Buster. It happened on July 2nd, 1943. He shot down a FW Focke-Wulf 190. And that was the first air-to-air kill, and the Tuskegee Airmen amassed 111 air-to-air kills. They would have had a lot more, except they put bomber escort as a top priority in their missions, so air-to-air kills were not as important to them as keeping the bombers alive. Now, the myth was they never lost a bomber. Now, while it's true they never lost a bomber, here's the other part of it, okay? They lost 27 bombers that they escorted. The average number for the 15th Air Force in Europe was 46. Okay, so even though they did lose a bomber, it was significantly lower than most of the other squadrons, than most of the other fighter groups in the 15th Air Force. So God bless the Tuskegee Airmen for that. Okay, 66 Tuskegee Airmen were killed in action. And now, not every Tuskegee Airman was a fighter pilot. There was a bombardment group, the 477th Bombardment Group, and they did not get deployed in time. They did not get deployed during the war. They were trained to fly bombers, but they stayed stateside during the war. Okay? Also, the Tuskegee Airmen flew more combat missions than anybody else because at the time, the U.S. Army Air Corps, the Air Force was not born until 1947, but the U.S. Army Air Corps did not allow African-American instructors, flight instructors. So normally pilots would fly a few missions and then go home to be instructors, but that wasn't the case for African-American pilots. So the Tuskegee Airmen did amazing things, only lost 27 bombers when the average fighter group in the 15th Air Force lost 46 bombers. And the bombers got successfully to their targets. The bomber pilots eventually grew to respect the Tuskegee Airmen, and they would request them any chance they got. So God bless the Tuskegee Airmen for that. Clarence Lester, call sign Lucky, he had shot down 3 German aircraft on July 18th, 1944. And him and Lee Archer were the closest ones to get the title of ace. You have to shoot down 5 or more aircraft to be considered an ace, but as I pointed out, bomber escort was a top priority for the Tuskegee Airmen. Also, while they were not the first unit to shoot down a German jet, the ME-262, they were one of the first. And the way Roscoe Brown shot down the German jet, that was used as a video and as an example for how other American pilots, black and white, should shoot down the German jet. And the ME-262 was a far superior plane than any of the planes the U.S. Army Air Corps had at the time. So I highly encourage people to learn about the Tuskegee Airmen, to study them, to watch the movie Red Tails. Red Tails is a very good movie. And George Roberts, call sign Spanky, that's his call sign, he had talked about in the book Red Tails, he said lots of Caucasians helped us to get where they got, and lots of Caucasians stood by them and were loyal to them. So he said we're going to recognize and respect the ones that helped us and forgive the ones that did us wrong. That was his quote, not mine. So I have to say who the Tuskegee Airmen really were. Otherwise, it'd be disrespectful to them. So anyways, hope everybody's doing well. Take care. God bless them. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.